What's up, world? That's Vital Podcast Episode 9. Yeah. Yo, quick thought. And when I say you, know that I'm speaking about myself. I'm not speaking about you, the listener. I'm speaking to myself right now. But I'm speaking to myself from the standpoint outside of myself, if that makes sense. But yo, know that as a parent, and if what I'm saying pertains to you, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, for those that this pertains to, we sometimes can have a bad habit of speaking to our children in a harsh or aggressive way during moments of stress or frustration or when we're under pressure, as opposed to kind of coaching and guiding them and giving them, the wisdom so that they'll either, not make the mistake or won't continue to repeat the mistake. I was brought up in more of a traditional bent where it was like, it was just expected. You knew how to do the right thing, and parenting was more so a matter of correcting wrongs, as opposed to teaching. I mean, now there was teaching moments for sure, but leave it up to ratio's sake. It seemed like the teaching moments came always after the correcting moments. So the record that I can remember is get corrected first, then possibly teach later. And I mean, at least that's how it seemed. Oftentimes I find myself battling with myself like, yo, D, you got to give them the wisdom, man, before you correct them. And if you're not going to give them the wisdom, you got to be patient with them. If you're not going to give them the wisdom and just let them figure it out on their own, you have to be willing to be patient in letting them figure it out on their own. Otherwise, you should give them the wisdom as opposed to coming down on them. It's crazy because I will expect grace or respect from others, but then at times not extend that to my kids. Something that blows my mind is like life's way of, or life's ability to always seem to reflect character discrepancies that I own through others. So it's like anything I can point out in somebody else is something I need to correct within myself. For example, me and my boys go running every morning. My oldest son, he made the basketball team this year. After seeing him sit on the bench the first game, I said, yo, my son's not going to sit on the bench. I'm going to see to it that he doesn't sit on the bench. And not because, I'm going to go and tell the coach, yo, he can't be sitting. No, because I'm going to get him right. I'm going to condition him. We're going to work and address all the weak points. And then we're going to develop strengths. You know what I'm saying? We're going to notice the strengths and develop them. But anyhow, the other day we were running. I noticed my oldest son, who's on the basketball team, drifting behind everyone. And I'm like, hey, man, you don't get to drift. You made the team. So you're now the standard for what example to follow in order to make the cut. You got to either lead or at least be able to keep up. And I'm pushing them. I'm coaching them. And then all of a sudden it hit me. Actually, no. I didn't realize it in that moment. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it until later on that day. I'm at the sink. I'm washing dishes now. Oh, again, back to, the running thing. Every time we run, we always listen. I'll always have like YouTube, like some motivational speech playing, or like one of those things on the Motiversity channel where they got the motivational speech compilations with the dramatic background music. We'll have that playing while we're running. So oftentimes throughout the day, I'll be listening to some of that type of stuff while I'm washing dishes or if I'm cleaning something. So this happened to be one of those moments. So I'm standing there, I'm washing dishes, and I'm listening to this thing, and they kept saying, keep going, no matter what, keep going. And I'm hearing it, and immediately I started reflecting on the run we had earlier and how I was telling my son the same thing. And I'm like, damn, yo, I'm tripping. Like, I need to keep going, yo. Like, I'll be still getting like stage fright. Not stage fright, but like it's like I get mic shy whenever I go to record a podcast because I'm like, yo, I don't want to get pod fade and then that joint be dry. Or I always feel like every time I record, like it's got to be perfect, or I got to know exactly what it is I want to say and the energy that I want to have when I say it. Writing stuff down sometimes doesn't work for me because, yeah, it'll give me ideas, but it doesn't give me the energy. I can't put the energy into writing. You know what I mean? I can write on the paper, hey, have some energy when you say this, but it's not the same as actually just doing it, just going off script and just doing it, just firing off ideas as they come to mind. Like, I feel like for me, my best work or my best energy is when I'm just like I am now, just firing off ideas. I had to come up off the mic a little. I noticed my sound bites were getting a little aggressive there. I was starting to hit them peak points. But yeah, circling back. So it's crazy because, like I said, I was listening to that and I kept hearing, keep going, keep going. I'm thinking to myself and I'm getting convicted. I'm like, damn, yo, I just spoke about this last week. How people will be aggressive towards everyone else, but lenient towards themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's always so much easier to extend leniency towards self. And I'm like, damn, here I go. I'm doing it to my kids. Like, yo, I be on my sons, like pushing them. But then when it comes to getting what I need to get done, it's like, I don't know, I'll give myself a pass, or I don't always keep myself accountable to that same measure of standard. So, Jules, Joel, I'm apologizing publicly because I know y'all be listening, you and your friends. I appreciate y'all for listening. And, while I'm talking to them, like, I guess I should talk to and talk on behalf of all those other adolescent children and, people in the age ranges of, I don't know, 10 to 18, 19, whatever, young, where you still live at home with your parents and you got to deal with your parents' crap. Because it's funny, yo, Will Smith back in the 90s had this song, Parents Just Don't Understand. As a kid, I'm like, yo, that's true, yo. Parents don't be understanding jack, yo. Now, as a parent, I'm like, frick, yo. I'm one of them parents that don't understand. Yo, I've a few times gotten down on my kids' level and had like a deep conversation with them from their standpoint and like just really listened to them. And I gained understanding. I'm like, damn, yo, I'm freaking up. And it's crazy because after those conversations, like the energy of the room or being in my vehicle, driving them to school or wherever we're at, one of the most memorable times I've had, and my son's best friend, he loves this. Like he calls me Uncle D, yo. That's and he's such a good kid, yo. But like one of the most memorable times we've had was I went on a field trip with them last year. I've gone years missing field trips, missing events for my kids. And I'm like, yo, I'm not doing that no more. Like as a result of work and whatnot, I'm not missing out on these moments. So we went on a field trip last year. It was to a camp. It was a sleepaway camp. It was for, I think it was like 4 days. I was the chaperone. So I was the only other male chaperone. It was me and the assistant principal. So he had a room full of the boys, and then I had a room full of the boys. And the way the rooms are set up, it's like a glorified college dorm room, slash like hotel, or I don't want to say resort, because like the building, it looks like a hotel. You walk inside, you got all the different rooms. They each have their own key, but then the rooms on the inside have a door at the back that connects to the other room. So it's like a suite. So you'll have, when you walk in, you got 2 queen beds, 2 pull-out Murphy-style bunk beds, and then you got a pull-out couch. And each room is like that. And then there's a bathroom that's got a private toilet, private tub. Then it's got 2 sinks. So, I mean, AC kicking, yo. Got that good AC. Buffet-style eating, canoes, go-karts, zip line, a zoo, a water park for the summertime. I mean, horseback riding and basketball courts. It's a vibe. But yeah, the field trip was epic, yo. It was one of the best, I would say one of the best father-son times I've shared ever with my son, yo. And I'm looking forward to going with each of my sons. That week was epic, yo. Matter of fact, before I lose my train of thought, we had a conversation, and I mean, all the kids, these are middle school, yo. All the boys that was in my group, like the conversation just started out with me, my son, and his best friend, and then another kid. And then a few minutes later, another kid walks in the room. He hears us talking, because I got the door open so I can hear what's going on both sides of the room. Before we knew it, we had all the guys, we was all in there talking. And then they were like, yo, we should go over to the other room and extend this conversation to them. You know what I mean? Let them get in on this action. And it wound up being late. So we wound up going over there. But like, just like I said, yo, pod fed. When I got over to that other room, it was like, yeah, I didn't know what to talk about at that point. It just, the energy wasn't the same, because we had already built a certain level of energy in the room we were in. So now trying to transfer that energy to another room, you know, like they already got a certain type of energy in that room. You know what I mean? So we would have to first build up to where we were at, and that took time to build up to that point. Anyhow, back to my soliloquy. So I remember I heard a TEDx talk one time where this lady said 100% of us will be on the receiving end of an unhealthy relationship behavior, and 100% of us will do unhealthy things. It's part of being human. I'm trying to correct some of the things, like as I noticed, you know, we still in the beginning of the year. I'm trying to build this year's version of me and take me to a whole nother level. You can mold, shape, create, you know, your life tailored to how you desire by simply 3 things: being willing, being honest with yourself, and then being selfish, but in a positive way where you're only focusing on you, in a sense. And what I mean by that is focusing on correcting you, not focusing on correcting others, not focusing on worrying and letting things beyond your control regarding others get to you. I encourage people to, instead of focusing on people outside of themselves and correcting people outside of themselves, just to simply focus on yourself. And that's why I myself simply focus on myself. And as a result, my life has been phenomenal, yo. Like, I don't have bad days. Like, I really don't. I have bad moments. I'm at a low point right now. I'm talking about, like, I'm at a really low point right now. And I've been at low points before. But the only difference between me having been at low points prior to now and now is me being at a low point now. I've got the information and the understanding. It's not something that's going to beat me, you know. And that's one of the things that I'm really trying to teach and instill within my sons. Like, when I tell you, now I didn't go into detail about this, but me and my sons, we go running every single morning. I wake up at 4:30 in the a.m. every single morning, get my kids up and go running. We've been doing this now for a few months. We took a break in December because they had Christmas break, and we took a break back in November as well because they had Thanksgiving break. Yeah, we've been since, like I said, since my son's first basketball game. I think that might have been back in October or early November. I can't remember exactly. I'm like, yo, like, I got to get these boys into shape. Like, who else is going to do it? You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here. Listen, my son is new to basketball, so I might be the parent who's embarrassed every game because his kid didn't get no play time. Yeah, that might be me this season. All this is new to him. He's not conditioned. He doesn't have the understanding, and I accept that. And I told him that. But we're going to get it right, yo. And I told him, I said, you know what? By the time you get to high school, all the kids going to know who you are. You and your brother. I said, the whole school going to know who y'all are. Matter of fact, the world's going to know who y'all are at a certain point. Because we're going to get up every day and we're going to grind. And I told my boys, I said, I guarantee you, I'm not going to say nobody does, but majority of the parents ain't getting up at 4:30 in the morning to run with their kids for 5 miles. Oh, I didn't add that bit of detail. My boys ran. Matter of fact, I might have to post a little video when This is it, y'all. We're closing in on the finish line. We did what we completed the circle. 498. Almost there. 499. Almost there. Bust this left. We completed the circle. Let's see if we can hit the 5 mile mark. Oh, no connection. Here we go. Sorry about that.
Total distance 5 miles. Total time 1 hour 4 minutes and 34 seconds.
And there it is.
Split pace 12 minutes 48 seconds per mile.
48 seconds per mile. Let's go. Circle back. Stop. What we did was I let them establish the pace. I said, look, y'all establish a pace. All right? Don't make it too quick because you don't want to be out of breath. But just find a pace where you could just kind of hop and jog the entire time. And it's going to be some pressure on your legs. Let me tell you, when we got to just before that 5th mile, my ankles was so sore. My oldest son, he grinded hard that day. He was like, yo, we not there yet. We almost there. Like, we got to get to he was determined to get to that 5th mile. I will say that, like, when that boy sees the finish line coming, he becomes a different kind of animal. When he sees that, yo, it's possible, he becomes a different kind of animal. I took this boy to the gym one time and we was working out. And when I work out like an animal. I take edibles and I just go to a different place in my mind. Let me tell you, just for a moment, I work out so hard that every time I leave the gym, I'm sore. I used to plateau. I used to do the basic 3 sets of 10, maybe take the weight up a little bit, take it up, try and find my max. But I would do the exact same routines the same way. now I've switched up the way I work out in such a way that every single time I leave the gym, I'm sore. Whatever muscle group I worked out, that part is done. I mean, completely done. Okay. So the one time I had my son with me in the gym, I'm teaching him the movements and I'm creating a standard for him. And one of the things I noticed about myself was I went harder as a result of him being in the gym with me, because it was like, in my mind, being his father, I've got to not only create the standard, but I want to create the highest possible standard, so that for him, that's the low point. For him, he's new to this. He's just coming into this. So it's like, okay, well, I guess if I'm going to do this, this is how it's supposed to be done. And he's going to always know, well, this was how daddy always did it. This is how it's supposed to be done. So I want that standard to be high for him, which is the same thing I want with the running. Like I said, I know, okay, he might ride the bench this semester, this season. And that's all right. That's understandable, because next season he'll not only have experience, but he'll have conditioning. We're going to hit each goal. We're going like each port of call. We're going to hit one port of call at a time. We're going to hit the conditioning. Then we're going to work on whatever comes to mind next. It might be shoot form. It might be free throws. You know, it might be blocking. We're going to just address the weak points and just hit one port of call at a time. Sorry about that. Went on a bit of a rant. Anyhow, the other day I was driving my sons to school, and my son had asked me, he was like, I forgot the question he asked me. He said something about like, will people that do bad things go to hell, or something to that effect. And I said, man, look, man, don't spend your whole life being one of them people who's always focused on, you know, other people and what other people are doing wrong, or trying to correct other people, because for one, you'll make yourself miserable, because your efforts to clean somebody else up will a lot of times leave you disappointed. The best way you could do it is by focusing on you. I said, you know what, mind you, my kids go to a Christian private school, so I said, matter of fact, y'all learn Bible in school, right? And he was like, yeah. I was like, y'all know that verse in Matthew in chapter 7 where it talks about going in through the straight gate, and you know how wide is the way that leads to destruction, and many be that find it, but it's only few that find a narrow path. Nah. So I was like, yeah. So I read it to him, and then I said, you know what that means? And he was like, nah, not really. I said, well, you know, let's for context, let's go back to the beginning of the chapter. You know, it says, judge not, lest ye be judged in the same like manner. It goes on to say, a couple verses later, it speaks against being a hypocrite, pulling a little piece of mulch out your brother's eye, but not seeing the beam in your own eye. I said, this is starting to sound familiar. He's like, yeah. I said, right. It's all about personal development. It's all about finding and becoming a better you instead of focusing on everybody else. And that's why it says few be there that find it, because there's so many people who focus on everyone else and spend countless miserable years of trying to correct everyone else, or walking around with these stank attitudes, because their attempts at trying to mold and convert somebody is not working. Well, that's because that's what they would never commission and do in the first place. God sent not his son to condemn, you know what I mean? But through his actions, through his way, through his example, people might be saved. Not through his condemning tongue, not through his stank ass attitude that so many traditional Christians seem to have. All right, I'm done with Bible study hour. You got an issue with anything I said? Tune into another podcast. You do not have to listen to this. You are here at your own free will. But if you want to hear something real, something raw, something straight from the heart, that's going to have you like, hell yeah, yo, I frick with this podcast. Then keep on listening to what I got to say, yo. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. I'm actually excited right now that I got through an entire second episode. Yeah, I'm wrapping it up right now. You know what I mean? I'm going to come back with, but you know what? I'm happy because look, this is progress, yo. You got an episode last week. Now you're getting another episode this week. So it's no more, 3-week, 2-week gap, 3-week gap. What was the last one? Like 8 weeks, you know what I mean? I told y'all, yo, I'm trying to be consistent, yo. I'm going to stick to my word. I'm going to be consistent no matter what, yo. Let me tell you something. Adversity will light some fire under your ass, yo. That's real. Like, there was some stuff that happened today. Things didn't go my way. And it's giving me fuel. Yeah, with that being said, tune in next week, yo. I'm gonna holler at y'all.